Here we go. So we've taken refuge in the holy being that has visited us today, and we continue to be in their presence, and their light and their divinity radiates and touches our being, and we connect with our divinity in the pledge to work for the sake of all beings, including ourselves. The next is we make them an offering, a mandala offering. We imagine a beautiful realm, a world that can exist because of our projections. We are currently projecting this world, and if we work on our karma, that projection will change. So we can imagine what that projection could change to. What would the streets look like? What would the world look like? Would there be a beautiful mountain? Would there be beautiful environments, soft and comfortable, where everybody is fed, where there's no struggle or strife or death or sickness or old age? Imagining a perfect realm today, we make an offering to our enlightened being so that this may be so. And I will sing the mandala offering and I will perform the mudra for that mandala offering. Saji bogi junshin meto chan, rira blinji ninde gempari, sange shindu mete uwagi, Roko Namdak Shinla Jopasho Giram Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami. Next, we move into the third phase where we think about something that we've done that we're not proud of. Maybe something we're hiding away, something where we've got a bit of shame around, some sort of negative energy in our lives that follows us around. And we want to release it. We want to put down that baggage. Perhaps we'd like to change a pattern that we're stuck in, but we're not sure how. So we think of something that we do regret, a habit that we've cultivated that we'd like to prune. Our neurons have been firing and wiring for all these years, and it's very difficult to change a habit or a thought pattern. Maybe there's a cloud of sadness, depression, or grief hanging over us. So we decide to invite the purification of the Buddha. Let their light shine through us, illuminating all our dark spaces, bringing out our emotions into the light, and instead of pushing them away or becoming consumed by them, we recognize them as if they were orphans needing love. And as we do this, we feel a sense of regret for the suffering and pain we've been through of our negative karmas that keep ripening. What do we regret today? We feel we could possibly bring that into the light. So we decide to try to not perpetuate this habitual tendency to see more suffering in our lives and to find ways to work on that. So we decide to refuse to do these things again. And if you can't do them as a permanent vow, we can take a temporary vow. I will not do this or that for the next 24 hours. And I will dedicate the energy of that to its purification and its healing. Then the next step is refuge, understanding how karma works, and then working within that to purify these negative deeds, words, or thoughts. I believe in the process. I believe in a higher power that can help me with this process. And the final part of this is to think of a remedy. What would it be in order to stop this habitual process? Do I need to remove myself from this? Do I need to move towards it? Do I need to just sit with it? What can I do as a remedy? Perhaps there's some mantra that I can recite, or some good deeds that I can do and dedicate the goodness to the purification of this negative karma. What is the remedy for this today? Perhaps your enlightened being that you're sitting with is quite gladly and openly helping you to make that decision or have that realization. And then the fourth step is to experience joy in the form of rejoicing. There's so many things going well in your life, so many good karmas that you've planted in previous lifetimes, something to feel really good about, really happy about. And that you have the potential to become an enlightened being and be the Buddha or the Jesus on your own planet. How wonderful would that be? Your potential is limitless. And you are so close. If you are in these Dharma teachings and you understand what is being given here, then the Buddha says we're very, very close to achieving our ultimate goal. To think of the thousands and thousands and thousands, eons of lives that we've had to reach this point is a massive, massive feat. To feel joy in the goodness that you do for yourself and for others, and the qualities that you've cultivated through your spiritual progress, is something to feel happy about. And then the next step is to ask the holy beings in our lives to please stay, please stay, please stay. Do not leave us and pass into nirvana, but stay in our lives. May we feel your presence from moment to moment, from day to day, and continue to teach us. And the more we ask, the more they come, because in the asking we create the karma for them to come. Blessings only happen if you have the karma for blessings. Manifestation only happens if you have the karma for manifestation, and this is how we create it. And our holy being then shrinks down to the size of our thumb. They fly to the top of our crown, facing the same way we are. And slowly they descend into the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel. And as they do, they unravel the side channels of the Ida and the Pingala, which are choking us at the chakra points, opening up our prana, our life energy, so that we will become younger and healthier and realized and more compassionate as they sink down through the central channel, passing through our face, illuminating light through your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and your ears, moving down past the throat chakra, and then resting at your heart center where the biggest knots occur in your channels. And there you've made a beautiful sanctuary for them to stay. Let their light illuminate your body and heal every aspect of your being, spiritual, physical, and mental. Let's take in another deep inhalation, breathing in through the nose, and then slowly exhaling it out the mouth. All right, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome, Craig. Lovely to see you, bro. I think I missed you earlier on. Maybe you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So it's nice to turn out. I'm recording this class because I'm very biased. I always record the other class. So I'm giving you guys a chance to be famous on YouTube. So we were talking last time about the Four Noble Truths, and let's just recap on what they are, because if someone says to you, "Are you a Buddhist?" and you go, "Yes," they go like, what is Buddhism all about?" And you're like, well, not quite sure. I mean, people are kind of laugh at that. So if you say Buddhism is life, is suffering, that there's a cause of our suffering, that there's an end to the suffering, and that suffering is contained in the Eightfold Path. Okay? So we spoke a little bit about what the end of suffering looks like in terms of enlightenment and your Buddha paradise. And in many traditions, I'll just give you an example of one of these paradise realms. In Taiwanese Buddhism, they love, if anyone's ever been to Nanhua Temple, so that Buddhism is a mix of Pure Land Buddhism and Zen. Okay, Zen Buddhism. What's my computer doing funny things now? My mouse pad. Come on. What is going on with you, my mouse? Okay. So, Nanhua Temple is a mix of what they call Chan, or in Japanese Zen, and then Pure Land Buddhism. So, Pure Land Buddhism is all about a Buddha called Amitabha Buddha. And Amitabha Buddha is different to Shakyamuni. So Amitabha became a Buddha, and then when Amitabha became the Buddha, a Buddha, there's many Buddhas as we know, Amitabha made a vow that if you chant his name, that he will come and rescue you at the time of death, so that you will not have to take rebirth. What happens then is you get reborn into the Amitabha Pure Land, and it's a blissful place of nirvana, right? There's no more suffering. It's a blowing out of your suffering existence, but you are still a student in the Amitabha Pure Land. Now, every sort of deity has their own Pure Land. You have a Tara Pure Land, you've got a Chenrezi Pure Land. So if you have a devotional deity, you could be reborn in their Pure Land. But Amitabha said, if you call my name, if you chant my name with pure devotion, I will come and find you and take you to my Pure Land. It sounds very much like Christianity, doesn't it? Like in Jesus' name, we will be saved. So in very similar in Amitabha realm, in their name, it is said that he will save you. I'm a little bit doubtful, because I think it's not as easy as just chanting some Buddha's name and then next thing, boof, you're going to be in nirvana. What I've done my research on it, and you have to chant Amitabha's name with 100% pure devotion in your heart. So what, do you have like 100% pure devotion for anybody? Maybe your daughter, maybe your son, but could you imagine having pure devotion for God or Buddha and then dying with that pure devotion on your lips? I think it's very difficult. I think it's very hard. And also, my teacher, Geshe Michael, says at the time of death, your mind is so confused and you're in so much pain and bewilderment and hallucination that it's very hard to keep mindful of a Buddha and to connect with them. So I've done a tantric practice called Poa, which means transference of consciousness at the time of death. And you have to shoot your consciousness out the top of your crown into the heart of Amitabha Buddha. Okay, I can't tell you more because it's a secret initiation, which is fascinating. But my other teacher said, that's very difficult to do when you're dying, and a lot of, if you see some of the gurus, there's a teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he just passed away recently. I think Kerry shared the information with me, and he's sitting in meditation. So these people die while sitting in meditation, and these photographs of them, their bodies sitting there in meditation. Can you imagine sitting and dying? Like everybody kind of dies lying down. I can't imagine what it must be like to sit and die, it's almost like you've really conquered the death process in doing that. But those kind of beings surely would be able to perform such practices at the time of death. we might not be able to. We might be pumped full of painkillers or something like that, you know, and our minds may be completely under the sway of some heavy drug like morphine or whatever it is that is, you know, because we're in a Western frame of medical care, right? And to die consciously is a lifelong training. The Dalai Lama, one of his main meditations is how to die. Okay, so it's not an easy thing. But if you can die with Amitabha in your mind or your heart, I mean, when Mahatma Gandhi was murdered, I mean, he was assassinated, right? He got shot. And as he got shot, he started shouting, Ram, 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 which is the name of God. Okay? So you can clearly see there is a devoted spiritual master that at the time of a crisis or the time of death, that you can call on your deity or God or whoever it is, like Jesus or Buddha or whatever. And then I think it's very possible for you to be reborn in one of these paradise realms because of your pure devotion. So, you know, that's a really cool path. The Dalai Lama, the path of the Dalai Lamas is really like, well, you know what? This life, this earth is the perfect ground for you to work on your karma, and you can purify it really well here, and you can become a Buddha a lot faster. And I think that's the thing, you know, like even relationships, your relationships could be the exact thing that can help you work on your divinity. Okay, I mean, otherwise you could choose the path of becoming like a nun or a monk, but that might take longer, you know, that might take a lot longer. So working with a partner might actually fast track you to a quicker place. The Eightfold Path is then the fourth truth of the Buddha, and it is 8 sort of parts of it, and this is the wheel of the Dharma. So we spoke about right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood. We had a conversation about veganism and about the right kind of job and not killing and so on. And then the final 3, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So that is all part of mental discipline, and that's why we meditate, okay? Because in meditation, we develop mindfulness and concentration. And that is extremely important in having a mystical experience of perceiving emptiness directly, which we have spoken about as well. So I just thought if there's any questions or comments at this stage, if I can clear anything up with any of you.
Has anyone else lost Mark?
Yes, I've lost him as well.
Oh,
okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
me too.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Let's see. Hi, guys. Hello?
Mama.
Bye, Pam.
Bye, Pam.
Hello?
Hi, Pam. Hello.
Am I back?
Hi, Mark.
You back?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I've switched over to my phone. I think the hotel Wi-Fi went down for a second. Sorry about that. Where did Pam go?
Pam said goodbye. She has to take her daughter shopping. She said she needed to leave early today.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. So I think we were discussing, like, are there any questions or comments with regards to the Four Noble Truths and the path to end suffering, and then the eightfold path and the cessation of suffering.
Mark, can I ask you a question that's probably just a very personal question, but it's something that's been worrying me, and what we were saying in the opening meditation brings it to mind. You know, a while ago we did the samsara wheel, and I'm very much stuck in an attachment of yearning for a romantic partner. Okay, I mean, it's very personal information I'm sharing here, And I get that that is an attachment, and I get that that is ego, and I get that that is really the last thing I should be spending my time and effort concentrating on. But that's where I'm stuck. And I don't know, like I look at these eightfolds and these four noble truths, and I'm like, that is so self-absorbed, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do to break that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Don. I think it's a great comment or question, and I do not believe that that is in any way self-absorbed. And in actual fact, I think it's a beautiful thing that you do have a yearning for a partner. And as we get more and more deeply into the tantric path, we'll find that it's completely necessary, that we take rebirth as female or male, depending on our energy, and then that energy wants to unite with the opposite energy in order to feel whole. So in the tantric text, they say that the Buddhas have a perfect union of female and male. Okay, so they feel completely whole. They have no desire to merge with somebody else, to be with somebody else that is of the opposite sex. Now, even in gay relationships, I think the same thing kind of plays out. There's a balancing of energies, even if it's a gay couple. And I've spoken to gay friends, and they say absolutely, it's a balancing of energies. So I think it's perfectly normal to feel that way. And then the thing is to understand, well, if we want a partner in our life, it is possible to create a partner, because if everything is karmically designed, then what is the karma to create a partner? Would anybody like to think what is the karma to create or manifest a partner in your life? The person that you're looking for.
To be the person that you want to manifest.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely, to be the change you want to see. I would agree with that. Yeah. Another point is find people that are lonely. My teacher always says, like, volunteer at an old age home, or be with people that are desperately in need of company, and then spend some time with them, and then dedicate the good karma of that to what partner it is that you want, and make a list of what you want. Write it down. I want my partner to look like this. I want them to act like this. I want them to be rich. I want them to, just be crazy with it. Write it down. Make it concrete. I don't know if you've done that, like a vision board, okay? And then you need the karma behind the vision. So go and find a project, okay, or introduce people, or matchmake, okay? In Judaism, they call that what do they call it? A mitzvah. They call it a mitzvah. So my Jewish partner in business, he says, if you introduce people to each other and they get married, you will go straight to heaven. How beautiful is that? Like, that's what they believe. They believe that's such a powerful thing to do, is connect people to have meaningful relationships. And by doing that, the karma to meet the right person will naturally happen. Now, a lot of people will say to Geshe Michael or to my teachers, I've been doing this for a long time and still nothing has happened. I'm not the one to say, if you do it now, it will happen tomorrow. I say, you got to do it now. It might not happen tomorrow. It might not happen next year. And in fact, it might not happen at all in this life. And I don't want to build up anybody's expectations, because I think that's also dangerous, because we are still in the sway of Donna, whoever Donna was in the past life. So there might be a tremendous amount of purification that needs to be done before the right person can manifest in your life. I have no idea. You don't know. But what else can we do? We have to work on it. So we have to purify what is the obstacle to you meeting the right person in your life, And then you have to dedicate, and we have to create the good karma and then dedicate for that vision to appear. Does that make sense? But
It does, thank you.
Please understand, your feeling is completely normal. It's not selfish. It's not in any way, it's brilliant to want to have your cake and eat it, right? It's perfectly okay to have everything you want: money, health, good partner, good job, all of these things we deserve, right? It's good. It's good to have these desires, and to manifest them and to work on them, right? But because I think the monastic way is to sort of, you feel these things, but then you just sort of walk away from them. But then in my experience, what I've seen in my own experience, not to say this is general, but there's a sort of perversion, or I mean, we see this within the church with people that are celibate. There's this kind of weirdness that comes out with some of the spiritual renunciants, and they can't handle it. That energy of longing, of craving, of needing to be with someone. And I think a partner is a beautiful process, because it then just shows us, where we need to do the work. It also shows us where, depending on who your partner is, can bring out the beauty in you that you've never seen before, and give you the motivation to continue to work for the benefit of all beings. So hopefully you don't just create any partner, you create a divine spiritual partnership with someone. Because I think anybody can just have like a normal partner, have a partner you can work with and share your visions with. I think that's just such a beautiful thing, Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to want, as Internet says. Cool. Any other comments or questions about the path? I'm going to try and switch over back to the Wi-Fi of the hotel, if you don't mind, so I can just try and save my data. Let's see if it's working. Are you all there? There we go. Okay, thank you for your patience. You can hear me? Okay, super. So a big part of then practicing the last part of the Four Noble Truths, or the Four Realized Truths, is a practice called the book. Okay, this is where we get hardcore with you all. Kerry's laughing because she knows it. Yeah, this is the hard part. Okay, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share my screen with you, and it's a beautiful practice that has been created by my guru, by my teacher. Where is it now? It's so good. It's so good. I have started this practice. I have stopped this practice. I have started this practice countless times over the last 12 years. Also, I have shared this practice with other people who absolutely flew. They just saw it, they started it, and they just started doing it naturally. And I looked at them and I got jealous. I was like, how come I taught them this book practice and I can't do it as well as they can, because it's freaking hard. It's really, really hard. Okay. But look at this beautiful cover, the book, Make Your Dreams Come True. Okay. So Donna, this is going to be another one of those practices to manifest your reality and to purify any obstacles. Okay, there's a whole PDF file on how to keep the book. I will share on the WhatsApp group. And here it all is, really. So the way it works is there are, in Buddhism, as part of the Eightfold Path, okay, especially in the in the Tibetan system, I'm going to share this with you now. There's, so like when Moses came down from the cloud, he downloaded the 10 commandments from the cloud, right? I don't know, maybe they had Wi-Fi in those days. And he came down, he came down with his tablets. Either it was Apple or Android. And he came down with those, and he said, I've just downloaded this from the cloud, and it was the 10 commandments. I don't even remember them. Thou shalt not kill or steal, or I can't remember all of them. But they're a list of moral codes. And I thought, God, this really sucks. I mean, who would want to live a life like this? Sounds boring. And the priest would say, thou shalt not, and it was like I always had a problem with authority. If anybody tells me to not do something, I'll go ahead and do the opposite anyway. I think most children are like that as well. So it was taught to me as like, if you don't do it, you're going to go to hell. And I didn't like that approach. I think negative motivation has never really quite gelled with me. But then when I started studying Buddhism, they've got their own 10 as well, which almost matches the 10 commandments. But then the Buddhists were saying, no, it's not a fear-based thing. This is a wonderful thing. Like, if you follow a moral and ethical path, wow, all your dreams will come true. Like, everything's going to work out for you. But you've got to like follow the path. You've got to keep track. So I kind of think of it as like way less. So let's say you want to lose weight. I don't know, I've tried way less. You've got to measure everything. You've got to count your calories. You've got to look carefully at it. Hi, Prashima. I see you snuck in there. And if you don't track your calories or what you eat, way less is not going to work. Okay. Way less only works if you actually follow the process. Now, in the same way, we need to track our karma. We need to track our conduct. We need to track what we do during the day. Because at the end of the day, we don't even know. Like, if you take someone like Jacob Zuma, they think they're totally cool. They don't do anything wrong. Meanwhile, they screwed up an entire country. But to them, they feel fine, like they didn't do anything wrong. They think it's my right to take what I want to take, and be unethical. And there was an incredible experiment done by the University of Wharton where they had people, if you put them next to a mirror, they were far more likely to lie and be dishonest. And then they put them in front of the mirror, in front of themselves, and they were way less likely to perform any misdeeds, okay? Because now they're looking at themselves and they feel accountable. So it's quite an interesting little experiment they did. The monks in Tibet used to carry around black stones and white stones in a bag, the ancient monks. So whenever they had a negative thought or a negative action or a words, they would take a black stone out of the bag and put it in their left pocket. Then if they did something positive, like positive thought, positive words, positive action, they take a white stone and put it in their right pocket. And then at the end of the day, I mean, the stones weren't that big. I think they must have been pretty small. Otherwise, they got these heavy, draggy pockets, And then at the end of the day, they empty the pockets out on the table and they count how many black stones, how many white stones. And then they think to themselves, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work on more white stones. So in that way, they keep track. Yeah, I'm winning. I got more white stones. Day 2, okay? Day 3, more black stones. But not judgment. Not like, I'm such a fool. I really suck because now I have more black stones than I did 4 days ago. Okay? Because sometimes we have good days, sometimes not so good days in terms of our ethical conduct. So ethics and morality is like the cornerstone of the path. So let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at what those are, right? Let's start with some positive reinforcement. So these are the 10 virtues. So the 10 virtues in Buddhism is first, body. Protect life. All right. Honor property. Here they say give generously. I like to think of honor property. Okay. If someone loans you a book, look after it, give it back to them. Okay. I've got an issue with loaning books, because people will look at my library and they'll say, "Oh, I love this book," and then I'll tell them, "Listen, I had an experience recently with someone who borrowed a very sacred book, and when they returned it, it was in tatters. It was falling apart, you know." And I thought to myself, that's really upset me, because I told you, this is a very sacred, holy book to me. You had it for 3 years. I asked you 5 times for it back. And when I got it back from you, it was broken. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is not honoring my property. Okay? Not at all. So so I'd like to just swap out give generously to honoring property, honoring others' property. Okay? And obviously that also includes generosity, to be generous. So that's protect life, be generous, and then in body they've got maintain one's discipline. But this, I don't know if this, actually, you know what, this is not right. Sorry, this image is not great. I don't know. I just downloaded it before the class. So I'm going to pop it in the chat rather. Okay, here we go. Protect life is the first one. Honor property is the next one. Sexual purity is the third one. Now these are of body. So protect life, right? Protect life is, how would we protect life? No killing. Now we've spoken about killing in the previous class. Unfortunately, it's not possible for us to be completely devoid of not killing. But how can we protect life? Okay, how can you protect your life? So we probably won't get into the book practice today, but I'm laying the foundation of what the 10 virtues are. Protect life, opposite of protect life is killing. Okay? Honor property is the positive. The opposite of honoring property is stealing, taking what isn't offered to you. And yes, it includes your taxes. You know, I constantly have meetings with my bookkeeper. She's a very creative accountant. And I have to constantly say to her, is this not stealing? You know, is this something I could go to jail for? And if she says no, then I feel okay. Okay? I'm all for creative bookkeeping. But if it's unethical, then I tell her, no, June, I think we've crossed the line here. Okay, I've had to tell her that a few times actually. And she thinks I'm mad, because all her clients are trying to dodge paying tax, right? It's what we do. But you've got to work it out. Is it ethical? Is it and yes, you could say, yeah, but the government is so corrupt and they're a bunch of stealing assholes, and so that doesn't mean that you have to become one too, right? Just because everybody's lying in the mud doesn't mean that you have to as well. You know, the problem is, like, I gave a bribe to a cop last weekend because I didn't stop at a stop street. And he's like, you know, when they lean on your window, it's like, hello, you know, what is the fine? 500 Rand, and the paperwork's going to take an hour. And you're like, oh my God, I don't have an hour to sit with this person. Here's 200 Rand, is that okay? And they say, yes, have a good day, bye. Now that is wrong, okay? I had to write that in my book. That is stealing. That is dishonest on my side. Because why? Because if I keep on paying bribes, if we all keep on paying bribes, then you can drink and drive in this country. You can break the law. You can speed. You're going to kill someone. You can text and drive. All of these things you can do, no problem. Because if someone catches you, you just give them a Coca-Cola and a box of KFC, you know? So it's wrong. And we are perpetuating the crime by corruption, by bribing. Okay, it's wrong. So, yeah, and it's difficult when you do get caught and they tell you you've had one too many drinks and you've got to go to jail for the night. And it's like, well, you know, I'll just take on the negative karma of paying the bribe, okay? Because that can happen. But understand that that action is not going to serve you later. So, sexual purity, I mean, protect life, you know, would be like, I didn't text and drive, okay? I put my phone down the whole way I was driving. I protect life on the road. Protect life is like, I'm eating well, I'm exercising, I'm getting enough sleep, I'm drinking enough water, I'm not taking harmful toxic substances, okay? It could be, I am donating to charity, I am supporting a wellness organization, I taught a yoga class, you know, I run a fitness gym, or yeah, whatever it might be. I'm giving food to the needy and the homeless. You know, whatever you are contributing towards protecting life, these are all good things. On a property, you know, I am being generous. I am being overly generous to waitresses and car guards and people around me. I am making sure that I honor their time and their efforts by showing my appreciation, whether it's money, whether it's your time, whether you're protecting someone from fear, whether you're protecting someone's life. Sexual purity here doesn't necessarily mean celibacy. It reminds me of Barry Kerry. Remember when he used to say, it's not celibate, it's celebrate. I still think of him saying that. So, you know, some monastics obviously choose the path of brahmacharya or complete renunciation from any sexual activity. As a layperson, you are not required to do that, okay? But obviously, our sexuality can hurt other people. So if you're in a partnership, you're in a relationship with someone, and you decide that you'd like to be in another relationship, even if it's a flirtatious one, that is a form of sexual misconduct. Okay, my teacher says, would you talk to that woman as if your wife was standing next to you? You know, and I always had that in my mind. Like, would I speak to this girl if my wife was standing next to me in the same way? Okay, and if I wasn't, I'd write that in my book. Oops, I think I crossed the line. And for me, in my marriage, even though it came to an end, I'm very proud to say that I never cheated on my wife. I was loyal to my wife for 15 years. And I had opportunities. But I practice Buddhism, right? I practice morality because I know where pain comes from. I know where suffering comes from. I know that if I want people to not cheat on me, then I mustn't cheat on them. Okay? And then if I have, we can purify that negative karma. You know, that karma can be purified. So if you find yourself in a relationship, I think we'll do the correlations. Sure, that's another thing, correlations. We'll get into that. Okay, let's just do, okay, we're coming to the end of the class. There's so much to do, my God. I'm just like, oh, we've got such a long path here. But it's cool, right? Are there any questions on this? Protect life. Let's just do the 3 of the body first, okay? Maybe what you need to do is get a journal and every day write down the first 3. In the morning, protect life as a heading, a positive and a negative, and a to-do. At 8 o'clock, write a positive. Today I went to gym. Under the negative, I was texting and driving. To-do, don't text and drive. Okay, leave the phone in your bag when you drive. You know what I mean? Maybe protect life. Oh, positive. I gave some food to a homeless person. Negative, I drank way too much alcohol last night, feel like shit. Okay, to do, don't drink as much as that, right? Okay, you know what I mean? So that's really basic. On a property, again, midday, come into your on a property, and it's a 24-hour cycle, right? So as you start this practice, then you repeat it the next day. On a property, was I generous today as a positive? What was my generosity? How did my generosity look like? Did I return stuff back to people? Did I honor their property? Is someone loaning me something that I'm in care of, and how am I looking after it? And then the negative of that is, am I stealing? Like, am I taking away something that isn't given to me? And I'd be like meditating in my Dharma room, and I'd be looking at books while I'm meditating and going, oh shit, that's Andreas's book. I haven't given it back to him for 2 years, you know? And that would disturb my mind. That would disturb my meditation. Because you can imagine if you go around killing people and you're sitting in meditation and you can hear the sound of sirens, woo, woo, in the distance, that's your meditation screwed, because you're going to think, oh my God, maybe that's the cops and they're coming for me. You know, how can we live a happy life if we're performing immoral deeds? Because those acts of immorality are the things that are going to haunt us and disturb our happiness. Same for sexual purity. You know, you might have a lover on the side and you're married, but every time the phone rings, oh my God, I hope that's, you know, I hope my phone is not visible to my wife or my husband, that they're going to see the name come up on the screen, or they're going to see someone like something on Facebook and they're going to put 2 and 2 together and they're going to catch me, you know. So that sexual purity, meaning, am I loyal to my commitments in my relationships? And it might, you know, maybe it's just normal relationships too, not so much sexual. But as we know, sexuality can really hurt, you know, really hurt. So negative of sexual purity is sexual misconduct. Am I flirting? Am I having an affair? And the thing with Buddhism is really interesting, because in Catholicism, when a divorce is final, that's when you're allowed to have another relationship. Okay, the divorce must be final in terms of the law. In Buddhism, if 2 people consent to ending a relationship, then it's done, then it's over. You know, you don't have to wait for the final divorce. Strangely enough, in Buddhism, if 2 people would like to take on a partner, maybe it's in a polygamous relationship, or they have, I don't know, group sex or something like that, that's fine, as long as everyone's happy with it. Okay? It's not immoral. So if you say to your partner, this is what I want to do, and they say yes, that's fine, then it's not breaking the code of sexual misconduct. Okay? Parties must be in agreement, and everything must be honest. All right? So Buddhism is very different, you know, to traditional religions in terms of that. Okay?
That's quite a tricky one. I dated a guy who was a Buddhist.
Okay.
And he was keen, and I realized how attached I was to absolutely no thank you very much. And then I was asking myself whether I should be pushing that boundary, and because it brought my attachment to such a I was so glaringly aware of how, do I want him to be happy? In which case he could take on another person. Okay. Or am I going to cling? Yeah. And needless to say, we didn't stay together.
No, absolutely. But I mean, if you look at African cultures, you know, like I'm surrounded by Zulus here, they've got like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wives, and they all get on with each other. And it's fine, because that's how they grew up. So they're used to that sort of dynamic. It doesn't mean that dynamic doesn't work. It does work, you know. It's whatever works for you, right? So I can't criticize people that have, I mean, in Tibet, it's the women take on, it's the other way around. The women take on husbands. So one woman can have 4 to 5 husbands. So it's flipped in Tibet. Okay, I think it's just maybe not so many women in Tibet and there's more men. So, but I mean, to me, that sounds like hell, you know, to have like more than one wife. or more than one partner. I couldn't do that either. I mean, it would drive me nuts. So yeah, but I mean, you know, you've got to keep an open mind. Just because doesn't work for us doesn't mean it doesn't work for everybody else. Yeah, same with animals. I mean, dogs. If you look at dogs, the way they behave, you know, they don't like, their hearts aren't broken if your dog goes and shags the one next door and then comes back again. Okay, so with that in mind, let's end this class. But it's really cool. We got to explore what morality looks like, you know. And this makes a lot of sense. I don't find the Ten Commandments to make a hell of a lot of sense to me, but this really does. So we'll unpack it. So in the morning, on a heading in your diary: protect life, positive, negative, to do. In the lunchtime, on a property: positive, negative, to do. And then in the late afternoon or evening, sexual purity: positive, negative, to do. If that makes sense, okay? Cool. We're starting our book practice. What a wonderful, most painful and difficult practice. Give it your best. Let's take a deep breath once again and release that. And imagining that Buddha in your heart, radiant being of light, shining outwards, shining to the whole world, creating webs of light between people, thinking of everybody in your space, thinking of those in your life that are going through a hard time, those that have done you wrong, those that you don't really know, and those that you love, and just sending out equanimous acceptance and love and compassion to all of them, and wishing them happiness, wishing them health, wishing them safety, and wishing them peace. As you imagine this process, I will sing the closing prayer, the dedication. I dedicate the good energy of attending this class for the benefit of all beings. May I quickly become enlightened through this process so that I may serve all beings. Kewa di kewo kun, sunam yeshe zozo shin, sunam yeshe le junwe, tampa kunia topa sho. May the precious and sublime awakened mind arise in those where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to expand forevermore. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace be with you all. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone. You're all famous now on YouTube because I recorded this class. Don't be surprised if you get like 1 million friend requests.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next week. Be well. Be good.
Namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.